long before she became a symbol carved in marble, long before churches carried her name, there was a simple girl, a young Sicilian girl named Agatha, whose courage defied an empire, whose suffering shaped centuries, and whose legacy still moves the world today. This is her story. Agatha was born around 231 AD in Catania, a city standing in the shadows of Mount Etna, a land of fire, wind, and deep tradition. At that time, Rome ruled Sicily with an iron certainty. Christianity was considered a threat, not a religion, but a rebellion. Anyone who dared to embrace it risked prison, torture, or even execution. Yet Agatha, born into a wealthy, noble family, made a decision that would alter her fate. She dedicated her life entirely to God. She took a vow of purity, of charity, of independence from the world's expectations. It was an act of faith and the beginning of her suffering. The Roman governor of Sicily, Quintanius, was known for his cruelty disguised as charm. When he learnt of Agatha, her beauty, her intelligence, her devotion, he decided he must possess her. But Agatha refused him. Not rudely, not dramatically, simply with unwavering clarity. My heart belongs to God. For Quintanius, used to obedience and fear, this was unforgivable. Rejection became obsession, obsession became rage, and rage turned into a calculated plan to break her. Agatha was forcibly removed from her house and delivered into the hands of Aphrodisia, a courtesan who ran a house of disrepute dedicated to pleasure. For 30 days, Agatha was surrounded by seduction, luxury, and constant psychological pressure. They mocked her vows. They urged her to give in to temptation. They said no woman could resist the desire of the flesh. But Agatha prayed. She remained steady. She resisted every attempt to corrupt her spirit, every temptation that was placed in front of her. After a month, Aphrodisia admitted failure. Quintanius was furious. If temptation wouldn't work, then violence would. Agatha was arrested and brought before Quintanius. Surrounded by guards and Roman symbols of power, he asked again, "Will you submit?" Her answer, "I am a disciple of Christ." Humiliated, Quintanius ordered her torture. She was beaten. She was burnt. She was stretched on a rack. Each cruelty designed not just to cause pain, but to force her surrender. But Agatha refused to break. Then came the order that would define her martyrdom. Her breasts were cut off. Even in agony, she looked at her torturers and said, "Cruel tyrant, do not blush for cutting from me what our mother has given to feed you." The chamber fell silent. Even her tormentors hesitated. Her strength terrified them. That night, Agatha was thrown into a dark cell to die. Lying in despair in the pitch black, legend says a soft light filled the room, and St. Peter himself appeared, carrying a jar of healing ointment. He touched her wounds, made the symbol of the cross, and they closed instantly. When the guards returned the next morning, they found her alive, restored, radiant. News of the miracle spread through Catania. People whispered that even heaven itself had opened to defend Agatha. Quintanius felt mocked by his city, by this girl, by the gods themselves. He ordered her execution. She was dragged from her cell by 2 large guards, along the corridor, and thrown into the courtyard outside to the morning light. A crowd had gathered. A centurion thrust a silver platter into her hands. Upon it, her two breasts removed in yesterday's excruciating torture. She was forced to march down to the harbour. The crowds lined both sides of the street. Some laughed, some spat, others cried and looked away in shame. But Agatha remained dignified, humble, and immune to her tortures and torment. At the harbour, she was knelt. A centurion drew his blade, raised it high, aiming at the nape of her neck. At that point, the sky turned black. The earth began to tremble. A violent earthquake tore through Catania. Columns cracked, walls crumbled, the governor's palace shook. People rushed into the streets crying, "This injustice has angered God!" The fear of rebellion forced the guards to halt the execution. Agatha was returned to her cell, broken in body, but unbroken in spirit. With her final breath, she prayed, "Lord, receive my soul." And at around 20 years of age, Agatha died a martyr. Just 1 year after her death, Mount Etna erupted violently. Lava surged down the mountainside towards Catania. The people remembered the girl who had suffered, rushed to her tomb. They took her veil, a simple piece of cloth, and held it before the fire, and the lava stopped. To this day, the people of Catania believe Agatha saved their city. Her veil became a symbol of protection. Her courage became a shield for generations. Agatha's influence did not fade with time. It grew across continents, cultures, and centuries. Her feast day, February the 5th, celebrated in Italy, Malta, Spain, Philippines, and Latin America. In Catania, the celebration is one of the largest religious festivals in the world, drawing more than 1 million pilgrims. For 3 days, the city erupts in processions, music, candles, fireworks, and offerings. Saint Agatha is the patron saint of breast cancer patients, nurses, bell makers, bakers, firefighters, Sicily, and the city of Catania. She invokes protection against fire, volcanic eruptions, earthquakes, disease of the breast, and violence against women. In art, statues, and religious iconography, Saint Agatha's statues can be seen carrying a palm branch, the symbol of her martyrdom, a plate carrying her severed breasts, a symbol of her torture, a veil or a cloth that saved Catania from the volcano. In Sicily, on her feast days, people bake special pastries called mina di Saint Agatha, or Saint Agatha's breasts. These small domed cakes are white, round, and topped with a cherry, meant to honour her suffering with tenderness and reverence, not mockery. Families gather to eat them while retelling her stories and teaching the lessons that she had once taught herself. More than 300 churches worldwide are dedicated to her. Her relics include parts of her veil, her bones, which are housed in Catania, Rome, and other European cities. She appears in medieval manuscripts, Renaissance paintings, Baroque sculptures, iconic mosaics, and modern devotion art. Agatha is not just a saint. She is a symbol of resilience for women, the oppressed, the abused, the silenced. Her story resonates across ages because it reflects an eternal truth. Courage is stronger than cruelty. Faith is stronger than fear. And the human spirit, once awakened, cannot be broken. 17 centuries have passed since a young Sicilian girl stood up against an empire, and still her name is spoken with love. Still her story is told in whispers and prayers, and still her courage inspires those who feel small in the face of giants. Saint Agatha suffered, but she never surrendered, and that is why she remains, even today, a beacon for all those who refuse to be broken.